Okay. Okay, so we have to continue from 11.53. Naham vedairna tapasa na danena na chejjaya shakya evam vido drashtum drashtavan asimam yatha. The form you are seeing with your transcendental eyes cannot be understood simply by studying the Vedas, nor by undergoing serious penances, nor by charity, nor by worship. It is not by these means that one can see me as I am. So this is very important. Seeing Krishna, original form, Shama Sundara Krishna form, is not possible by studying Vedas, penances, charity, worship, etc. It is only by love for him that one can actually see him. But Krishna first appeared before his parents Devaki and Vasudeva in a 400 form, and then he transformed himself into the 200 form. This mystery is very difficult to understand for those who are atheists and who are devoid of devotional service. For scholars who have simply studied Vedic literature by way of grammatical knowledge or mere academic qualifications, Krishna is not possible to understand, nor is he to be understood by persons who officially go to the temple to offer worship. So officially meaning just go, that going to the temple is good, go to the temple, put some money, pray for some material things and come. And for such people, they cannot understand Krishna. Nor people who are Gnanis, they can understand Krishna. They make their visit, but they cannot understand Krishna as he is. Krishna can be understood only through the path of devotional service, as explained by Krishna himself in the next verse. So by no other process one can see Krishna or understand Krishna, only by devotional service. 11.54 Bhaktyaatvananya shakyayaham evam vidorjuna gnatum drashtum cha tatvena praveshtum cha parantapa. My dear Arjuna, only by undivided devotional service can I be understood as I am standing before you and can thus be seen directly. Only in this way can you enter into the mysteries of my understanding. So it's only by undivided devotional service. Undivided means ananya, not mixed with karma or gnana. Pure devotional service is the only way by which one can understand Krishna. Purport. Krishna can be understood only by the process of undivided devotional service. He explicitly explains this in this verse so that unauthorized commentators who try to understand Bhagavad Gita by the speculative process will know that they are simply wasting their time, because by speculation we cannot understand Krishna. By devotional service we can understand Krishna. No one can understand Krishna or how he came from parents in a 400 form and at once changed himself into a 200 form. These things are very difficult to understand by study of the Vedas or by philosophical speculation. Therefore, it is clearly stated here that no one can see him or enter into understanding of these matters. Those who, however, are very experienced students of Vedic literature can learn about him from the Vedic literature in so many ways. There are so many rules and regulations, and if one at all wants to understand Krishna, he must follow the regulative principles described in the authoritative literature. One can perform penance in accordance with those principles. For example, to undergo serious penances, one may observe fasting on Janmashtami, the day on which Krishna appeared, and on the 2 days of Ekadashi. As far as charity is concerned, it is plain that charity should be given to the devotees of Krishna who are engaged in his devotional service to spread the Krishna philosophy or Krishna consciousness throughout the world. Krishna consciousness is a benediction to humanity. Chaitanya was appreciated by Rupa Goswami as the most magnificent man. Namo Mahavadanyaya, Krishna Prema Pradayate. For charity, because love of Krishna, which is very difficult to achieve, was distributed freely by him. See, so if one gives some amount of his money to persons involved in distributing Krishna consciousness, that charity is the greatest charity in the world. And if one worships as prescribed in the temple, that is a chance to progress by offering worship and respect to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So basically what Prabhupada is saying is that in the previous verse there was mention about charity and worship and all that. All of that, if it is connected to Krishna directly, then that becomes devotional service, and then that helps one to come to the platform of understanding Krishna. But just doing mundane charity, simply studying Vedas without, with the intention of amassing knowledge or doing some kind of demigod worship and all that, that is not going to help us understand Krishna. Only when these things are dovetailed or done in connection with Krishna consciousness, then they can help one understand Krishna. Yasya deve para bhakti yatha deve tatha gurau tasyaite katitha hyartaha prakashante mahatmanaha. One who has unflinching devotion for the Supreme Lord and is directed by the spiritual master, in whom he has similar unflinching faith. So both are required. These are two rails, right? Like of a track. Both are required. Unflinching devotion in Supreme Lord and unflinching devotion, faith in Guru. Only one who has both this can see the Supreme Personality of Godhead by revelation. Prakashante. Revelation. It is not by force that we can understand Krishna. Krishna has to mercifully reveal himself to the devotee, then the devotee will understand Krishna. One cannot understand Krishna by mental speculation. For one who does not take personal training under the guidance of a bona fide spiritual master, it is impossible to even begin to understand Krishna. The word tu is specifically used here to indicate that no other process can be used, can be recommended, or can be successful in understanding Krishna, except surrendering to the Guru and having unflinching devotion and faith in Guru and Krishna. That is the only way. The personal forms of Krishna, the 200 form and the 400 form, are described as Sudurdarsham, very difficult to see. Durdarsham is difficult to see. Sudurdarsham is very difficult to see. They are completely different from the temporary universal form shown to Arjuna. The 400 form of Narayana and the 200 form of Krishna are eternal and transcendental, whereas the universal form exhibited to Arjuna is temporary. The words Tvad Anyena Na Drashta Purvam state that before Arjuna, no one had seen that universal form. Also, they suggest that amongst the devotees, there was no necessity of showing it. That form was exhibited by Krishna at the request of Arjuna, so that in the future, when one represents himself as an incarnation of God, people will ask him to see his universal form. The word na, used repeatedly in the previous verse, indicates that one should not be very much proud of such credentials as academic education in Vedic literature. One must take to the devotional service to Krishna, only then can one attempt to write commentaries on Bhagavad Gita. Krishna changes form from the universal form to the 400 form of Narayana and then to his own natural form of two hands. This indicates that the 400 forms and other forms mentioned in Vedic literature are all emanations of the original 200 Krishna. He is the origin of all emanations. Krishna's to Bhagavan Swayam. Krishna is distinct even from these forms. What to speak of the impersonal conception? See, Krishna is distinct from even Vishnu, Rama, Narasimha, etc. As far as the 400 forms of Krishna are concerned, it is stated clearly that even the most identical 400 form of Krishna, which is known as Mahavishnu, who is lying on the cosmic ocean and from whose breathing so many innumerable universes are passing out and entering, he is also an expansion of Supreme Lord. So it's a most identical 400 form, meaning apart from the hands, everything else is similar. Stated in Brahma Samhita, Yasyai Kanishwasita Kalam Athavalambya Jivanti Loma Vilaja Jagadanda Natha Vishnur Mahan Sahi Yasya Kala Vishesho Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. The Mahavishnu, into which all the innumerable universes enter and from whom they come forth, again, simply by his breathing process, is a plenary expansion of Krishna. Plenary expansion in Sanskrit means Amsha. Therefore, I worship Govinda, Krishna, the cause of all causes. Amsha doesn't mean part, as in Amsha just means that he's come from Krishna and he displays whatever qualities that are required in that particular form. Therefore, one should conclusively worship the personal form of Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead who has eternal bliss and knowledge. He is the source of all forms, eternal bliss This bliss is something that wherever Krishna is there, there is bliss. He's always joking, always giving happiness to all devotees around him. He is the source of all forms of Vishnu. He is the source of all forms of incarnation. He is the origin supreme personality, as confirmed in Bhagavad Gita. In the Vedic literature, Gopala Tapani Upanishad, it is said, Satchidananda Rupaya Krishnaya Klishta Karine, Namo Vedanta Vedyaya Gurave Buddhi Sakshine. I offer my respectful obeisances unto Krishna, who has a transcendental form of bliss, eternity, and knowledge. I offer my respect to him because understanding him means understanding the Vedas. Vedashta Sarve Rahameva Vedyaha. And he is therefore the supreme spiritual master. Then it is said, Krishno Vai Paramam Daivatam. Krishna is the supreme person of Godhead. Eko Vashi Sarvaga Krishna Idyaha. That one Krishna is the supreme person of Godhead and he is worshipable. Eko Pisan Bahudha Yo Vabhati. Krishna is one, but he is manifested in unlimited forms and expanded incarnations. Brahma Samhita says, Ishvara Parama Krishna Sachidananda Vigraha Anadiradir Govinda Sarvakarana Karanam. Supreme Person of Godhead is Krishna, who has a body of eternity, knowledge and bliss. He has no beginning, for he is the beginning of everything. He is the cause of all causes. Elsewhere it is said, Yatravatirnam Krishnakhyam Param Brahma Narakriti. The Supreme Absolute Truth is a person. His name is Krishna and he sometimes descends on this earth. Similarly, in the Srimad Bhagavatam, we find a description of all kinds of incarnations of the Supreme Person of Godhead. And in this list, the name of Krishna also appears. But then it is said that Krishna is not an incarnation of God, but is the original Supreme Person of Godhead himself. Ete chamsa kalapamsa Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. Similarly, in Bhagavad Gita, Lord says, Matta parataram nanyat. There's nothing superior to my form as the person of Godhead, Krishna. He also says elsewhere in Bhagavad Gita, Aham Adir Hi Devanam. I am the origin of all the demigods. And after understanding Bhagavad Gita from Krishna, Arjuna also confirms this in the following words, Param Brahma Param Dhamma Pavitram Paramam Bhavan. I now fully understand that you are the Supreme Person of Godhead, the absolute truth, and that you are the refuge of everything. Param Dhamma. Dhamma means refuge. Therefore, the universal form which Krishna showed to Arjuna is not the original form of God. The original is the Krishna form. The universal form with its thousands and thousands of heads and hands is manifest just to draw the attention of those who have no love for God. It is not God's original form. The universal form is not attractive for pure devotees who are in love with the Lord in different transcendental relationships. The Supreme Godhead, Gopadwan says, godless display of opulence. This universal form is godless display of opulence, because God means sweetness, relationship. Here there is nothing like that. It's just power, strength, opulence. Universal form, so not attractive. The Supreme Godhead exchanges transcendental love in his original form of Krishna. Therefore, to Arjuna, who was so intimately related with Krishna in friendship, this form of the universal manifestation was not pleasing. Rather, it was fearful. Arjuna, who was a constant companion of Krishna's, must have had transcendental eyes. He was not an ordinary man. Therefore, he was not captivated by the universal form. This form may seem wonderful to persons who are involved in elevating themselves by fruitive activities. But to persons who are engaged in devotional service, the 200 form of Krishna is the most dear. Meaning people who are just stuck with this material world and name, fame, growth, position, power, they will be enamored by the universal form. Oh, so big, so huge, so gigantic, so powerful. But not pure devotees who want to just exchange rasa with Krishna in his original 200 form. It's not attractive. Universal form is not attractive to devotees. 11.55. Mat karma kran. Yeah.
In I think second para, it is written that Lord from his two-handed form changes to the universal form and then changes to four-handed Narayana form. But in the earlier verses, Prabhupada has written that the universal form is kind of a temporary form, right?
Yeah, universal form is temporary only, but Krishna is displaying that form, no? So in that sense, because he cannot He cannot project it like a picture, like as in not like he's projecting something, right? Like he himself, see, the whole idea here is what? That anybody who comes and says, I'm God. Okay, show me your universal form. So if Krishna was standing, in his original in 200 form, and then this another universal form shows up by the side, it's like some projection, some movie. And somebody who's now claiming to be God, he might just project some movie and say, okay, see, I've displayed the universal form. No, his own form has to change, even if it is temporary. It is to show that everything is within Krishna, that he is changing his form from 200 to universal form, then comes to 4 and then 2 hands again, showing that all of this is in me. I only have all this. So it could, I mean, though it is temporary, but still the requirement in this case was Arjuna wanted to show everybody, saying that, see, Krishna means everything is in him, everything comes from him. So you also show your universal form, then you show your 400 form, then you show your 2-armed form, then we'll accept you as Supreme Lord.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, bro.
Matkarmakrin matparamo madbhakta sangha varjitaha nirvaira sarvabhuteshu yasa mam eti pandava. My dear Arjuna, he who engages in my pure devotional service, free from contaminations of fruitive activities and mental speculation. Now, fruitive activities means doing bhakti for some fruitive gain. Krishna, I will serve you, give me this, give me that. And this is fruitive activities. And mental speculation, which is okay. We don't get into this too much. He works for me, works for Krishna. We can work for Krishna. Normally people work for themselves. But the whole karma yoga process is to work for Krishna. Either that is called Krishna karma. Either work for him by doing whatever work you do and offer the results to him, or directly work for Krishna. So either of them, meaning work for the temple, etc., etc. Work for the movement. Who makes me the supreme goal of his life, and who is friendly to every living being, he certainly comes to me. So, see here, there are 4 things. Engage in pure devotional service, which is free from fruitive activities and mental speculation. Works for me, makes me the supreme goal of life, and very importantly, is friendly to every living being. Now, this 4th one seems like a foreign entrant, because everything else is connected to pure devotional service. This alone is connected to other jivas, but it is so integral part of bhakti that if you don't show compassion to other living beings' sufferings, that means that we don't preach, then we cannot go to Krishna. Right? Because this is 4 pillars. One has to be friendly to every living being. And friendly doesn't mean time pass, chit chat. No, friendly means that show compassion, help them come to Krishna, which basically means preaching. So we have to preach in whatever form and shape, doesn't matter. Everybody has to preach. If you don't show compassion to other living beings, then we can't become dear to Krishna. And this is emphasized multiple, I mean, in Bhagavatam, this one point is emphasized in so many places, so many teachings. Just this emphasis on, Jivadaya. This is called Jivadaya. Anyone who wants to approach the supreme of all personalities of Godhead on the Krishna Loka planet in the spiritual sky and be intimately connected with the supreme personality Krishna must take this formula. So this is the formula, 4-pronged formula. Engage in pure devotional service, work for Krishna, make him the supreme goal of life, be friendly to every living being. So please note this, make a note of this. Therefore, this verse is considered to be the essence of Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita is a book directed to the conditioned souls who are engaged in the material world with the purpose of lording it over nature, who do not know of the real spiritual life. So what does this lording it over nature mean? Lording it over nature on one end means sense gratification. There's also subtle lording it over material nature, which is, okay, I don't want, I don't want Labh, Puja, Pratishtha and all that, but let me not have any suffering. Not wanting to have suffering is also lording it over nature, because which means that we look at some things as favorable and some things as not favorable, some things as advantages, some things as disadvantages. All this is also lording it over, because if we are Atma, then we should not be bothered about anything related to the body, be it advantages, disadvantages, favorable, unfavorable. So in Kapila Muni's teachings in Bhagavatam, Devati. So Devati asks, saying that how is it, eternally stuck in this material nature? How will the soul be able to come out of it? So then Kapil Muni says that to stop this lording over business, looking out for material advantageous positions. This is all still lording over, and till we continue to lord over, we cannot disconnect ourselves with this material world. The Bhagavad Gita is meant to show how one can understand his spiritual existence and his eternal relationship with the Supreme Spiritual Personality, and to teach one how to go back home, back to Godhead. That is what Bhagavad Gita is showing. Now, here in this verse, which clearly explains the process by which one can attain success in his spiritual activity, which is devotional service. As far as work is concerned, one should transform his energy entirely to Krishna conscious activities. Anasaktasya vishayan yatarham upayanjatah nirbandha Krishna sambandhe yuktam vairagyam uchyate. No work should be done by any man except in relationship to Krishna. This is called Krishna karma. So please note, everybody engaged in karma, we have to be engaged in Krishna karma, not swakarma or atma karma. One may be engaged in various activities, but one should not be attached to the result. The result should be done only for him. For example, one may be engaged in business, but to transform that activity into Krishna consciousness, one has to do business for Krishna, meaning the result of the work. If Krishna is the proprietor of the business, then Krishna should enjoy the profit of the business. If a businessman in possession of thousands and thousands of dollars, and if he has to offer all this to Krishna, he can do it. This is work for Krishna. Instead of constructing a big building for his sense gratification, he can construct a nice temple for Krishna, and he can install the deity of Krishna and arrange for deity service, as is outlined in the authorized books of devotional service. This is all Krishna karma. One should not be attached to the result of his work, but the result should be offered to Krishna, and one should accept as prasadam the remnants of offerings to Krishna. So meaning earn, give it to Krishna, take whatever he gives as prasadam. Now, how will Krishna give you prasadam? So basically it has to be offered to Guru, and whatever Guru gives in return has to be taken. Or in other words, what Srila Rupa Goswami said, the standard 50% should be offered to Krishna. If one constructs a very big building for Krishna and installs the deity of Krishna, one is not prohibited from living there, but it is understood that the proprietor of the building is Krishna. This is called Krishna consciousness. Now, this is how the consciousness in the home, in every grihastha house should be, that this is property of Krishna. I am just caretaker. So Bhakti Vinod Thakur has sung this Sharanagati verses, so beautiful songs, in which he says that, this should be the mood of a grihastha, that I am the servant in the house of Krishna. If, however, one is not able to construct a temple for Krishna, one can engage himself in cleansing the temple of Krishna. That is also Krishna karma. One can cultivate a garden. Anyone who has land in India, at least any poor man has a certain amount of land, can utilize that for Krishna by growing flowers to offer him. One can sow tulsi plants, because tulsi leaves are very important, and Krishna has recommended this in Bhagavad Gita, Patram Pushpam Phalam Toyam. Krishna desires that one offer him either a leaf, flower, fruit, or little water, and by such an offering he is satisfied. This leaf especially refers to the tulsi. So one can sow tulsi and pour water on the plant. Thus even the poorest man can engage in the service of Krishna. These are some of the examples of how one can engage in working for Krishna. The word Mat Parama refers to one who considers the association of Krishna in his supreme abode to be the highest perfection of life. Such a person does not wish to be elevated to the higher planets such as moon or sun or heavenly planets, or even the highest planet of this universe, Brahmaloka. He has no attraction for that. He is only attracted to being transferred to the spiritual sky. And even in the spiritual sky, he is not satisfied with merging into the glowing Brahmajyoti refulgence. for he wants to enter the highest spiritual planet, namely Krishna Goloka, Goloka Vrindavana, not even Vaikuntha. He has full knowledge of that planet and therefore he is not interested in any other. And we read this in Brihad Bhagavatamrita of Gopakumara. He was not interested in anything else, not even Vaikuntha. As indicated by the word Mad Bhaktaha, he fully engages in devotional service, especially in the 9 processes of devotional engagement. So one can engage in all 9 devotional processes, or 8 or 7, or at least in one, and that will surely make one perfect. The term Sangha Varjitaha is very significant. One should disassociate himself from persons who are against Krishna. Not only are the atheistic persons against Krishna, but also those who are attracted to fruitive activities and mental speculation. The karmis, we should also not associate with karmis who are interested in fruitive activities. Therefore, the pure form of devotional service is described in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Anna Vilashita Shunyam Gnana Karma Dhanavritam Anukulyena Krishna Anushilanam Bhakti Uttama. In this verse, Srila Rupa Goswami clearly states that if anyone wants to execute unalloyed devotional service, he must be freed from all kinds of material contamination. He must be freed from the association of persons who are addicted to fruitive activities and mental speculation. Now, what do? We go and work, and at work we are only associated with people who are addicted to fruitive activities. So that is why it is very important that grihasthas do charity. Give as much as possible to Krishna. Otherwise, just accumulating contamination. When freed from such unwanted association and from the contamination of material desires, one favorably cultivates knowledge of Krishna. That is called pure devotional service. Favorably. And anukulisa sankalpa pratikulisa varjanam. One should think of Krishna and act for Krishna favorably, not unfavorably. Kamsa was an enemy of Krishna's. From the very beginning of Krishna's birth, Kamsa planned in so many ways to kill him, and because he was always unsuccessful, he was always thinking of Krishna. Thus, while working, eating, sleeping, he was always Krishna conscious in every respect. But that Krishna consciousness was not favorable, and therefore, in spite of his always thinking Krishna 24 hours a day, he was considered a demon, and Krishna at last killed him. Of course, anyone who is killed by Krishna attains salvation immediately, but that is not the aim of a pure devotee. The pure devotee does not even want salvation. He does not want to be transferred even to the highest planet, Goloka Vrindavana. His only objective is to serve Krishna wherever he may be. A devotee of Krishna is friendly to everyone. Therefore, it is said here that he has no enemy. Nirvairaha. How is this? A devotee situated in Krishna consciousness knows that only devotional service to Krishna can relieve a person from all the problems of life. He has personal experience of this, and therefore he wants to introduce the system into human society. There are many examples in history of devotees of the Lord who risked their lives for spreading Krishna God consciousness. The favorite example is Lord Jesus Christ. He was crucified by the non-devotees, but he sacrificed his life for spreading God consciousness. Of course, it would be superficial to understand that he was killed. Similarly, in India also there are many examples such as Thakur Haridas, Prahlad Maharaj. Why such a risk? Because they wanted to spread Krishna consciousness, and it is difficult. A Krishna conscious person knows that if a man is suffering, it is due to his forgetfulness of his eternal relationship with Krishna. Therefore, the highest benefit one can render to human society is relieving one's neighbor from all material problems. In such a way, a pure devotee is engaged in the service of the Lord. Now we can imagine how merciful Krishna is to those engaged in his service, risking everything for him. Therefore, it is certain that such persons must reach the supreme planet after leaving the body. In summary, the universal form of Krishna, which is a temporary manifestation, and the form of time, which devours everything, and even the form of Vishnu 400, have all been exhibited by Krishna. Thus, Krishna is the origin of all these manifestations. It is not that Krishna is a manifestation of the original Vishwarupa or Vishnu. Krishna is the origin of all forms. There are hundreds and thousands of Vishnus, but for a devotee, no form of Krishna is important but the original form, two-handed Shama Sundara. In the Brahma Samhita, it is stated that those who are attached to the Shama Sundara form of Krishna in love and devotion can see him always within the heart and cannot see anything else. One should understand, therefore, that the purport of this 11th chapter is that the form of Krishna is essential and supreme. Thus, in the Bhaktivedanta purpose to the 11th chapter of Srimad Bhagavad Gita in the matter of the universal form. Okay, finally, after many days of break, we finally finished 12th, 11th chapter, and we'll, Krishna willing, Wednesday do 12th chapter. So beautiful 12th chapter is, there is a summary of all options that are available for us to practice um, to eventually reach Krishna. So it's a very interesting 12th chapter. Okay, so any questions, anybody?
So I have a question. So it is mentioned Krishna karma, right, in the purport.
Yeah.
So is Krishna karma one level above than karma yoga? Because in karma yoga, devotee still might be doing some activities which might not be directly related to Krishna, but offer the results of that karma, right? So that is a connection which is there. But Krishna karma, Prabhupada says that everything to be done which is directly connected to Krishna. So in that form, is Krishna karma equivalent to devotional service?
No, Krishna karma, see, devotional service is Navavida Bhakti. Krishna karma is like he's saying, even if there's a proprietor of a business, he can do business, but let him use the results to Krishna. So Krishna karma is karma yoga only. But in Krishna karma, if suppose say one works directly for Krishna, 100% for Krishna, then it will become devotional service. Meaning 100%, right? Or even if 50% is given to Krishna, that also becomes devotional service. See, the only difference between any of these like karma yoga is propensity to work. If somebody enjoys working, not for Krishna, but working in this material world, then it is karma yoga. But if somebody wants to serve Krishna and because money is required, he goes and works, then it is bhakti. So it is the intention which is important. It is not the karma itself. It is the mood, right? And Krishna karma and karma yoga are not different. As in, it's just easy to understand saying that work for Krishna, do karma for Krishna, right? But karma yoga also is doing work for Krishna, but propensity to work is more there than willingness to serve Krishna. In Krishna karma, you can say that focus is more on serving, doing karma for Krishna. That way, it's closer. But yeah, Krishna karma as such is not like technically defined elsewhere. So Prabhupada is coined this word Krishna karma. Yeah. So summary is karma yoga. He has more propensity to work independent of Krishna, and more results are being used for somehow in devotional service. And Krishna karma is somewhat slightly more direct in some sense, the way Prabhupada is described.
Okay, bro. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Anybody has any questions? Okay. Thank you very much for joining. Vancha kalpatarupescha kripa sindhubhyo japatnanam bhavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Samaveta gaura bhakta jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, bro. That works.
Hare Krishna to everybody.